With my Android. Wow. Blue? Team blue? Team green? No, we're not able to. Nope. Unfortunately, no. Um or ordained. That's the term you're looking for. So yeah. The welcome. We was fighting about Team Android, team whatever the other team is. So welcome to you guys, and you guys have your apps watching us. You want to go ahead and share out the stream? Just click the little share button. For iPhone, it may be a little bit more difficult. Team Android. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started with Wednesday night service. We are in Luke chapter 8. And as we're scrolling there, just want to welcome you all tonight. Welcome to everyone here. I'm glad to be back. I've been away from my house for since not this past Sunday, though, Sunday before that. I left from church to go to the airport, and I've been on the West Coast, been in Hawaii, came back, was totally drained, went to sleep for I was only going to take a nap because I was on the plane so long and coming through 5 time zones and whatnot. I was going to take a nap, but I was asleep for 4 hours. Then I went right back to work because I'm working my tax job. And so, um, glad to be here. I'm glad that you are here. And we're going to look at these scriptures tonight because if you guys are following, right, this is Holy Week or Passion Week. Sorry, this is Passion Week. And every day has something except for what day? Today. Because not in the Bible, it's not recorded what they did. There's a lot of speculation, but Wednesday is not something that was talked about, even though stuff was done. And so that's what we want to look at is some scripture that gives us maybe a little bit of wisdom to be able to procure and use during that time when maybe things seem at a lull, maybe things seem at a pause. All right. So beginning in verse 26 of Luke chapter 8 says, Then they sailed to the region of Gessernes, which is opposite Galilee. When he got out on land, a demon possessed man from the tower met him. For a long time he had worn no clothes and did not stay in a house, but in tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out, fell down before him, and said in a loud voice, What do you have to do with me, Jesus, you Son of the Most High God? I beg you, don't torment me. For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. Many times it had seized him, and though he was guarded, bound by chains and shackles, he would snap the restraints and be driven by the demon into deserted places. What is your name? Jesus asked him. Legion, he said, because many demons had entered him, and they begged him not to banish them to the abyss. Now, so when he's having this conversation with this person, right, it's saying right here that it's not necessarily this guy who's doing these things. It's the stuff inside of him, the spirits inside of him, demons. Um, and they asked him his name. Jesus asked him his name, and they gave a response. So what we have to glean out of that is that even though we don't know that sometimes there are things that are wandering about, things that are trying to attack us, they do have a name and can be referenced. Okay, lies, deceit, um, what do you call when we're stealing, theft, right? There are certain things that have a name. The spirit of those things is what he's talking to, what he's conversing with. Is that they begged him not to banish them to the abyss. They didn't want to have not a purpose. You understand? So there is a purpose for those things that we don't necessarily want to do. But what was happening here is that Jesus was calling them out by name, literally calling them out. A large herd of pigs was there feeding on the hillside. The demons begged him to permit them to enter the pigs, and he gave them permission. The demons came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and drowned. They will do whatever till it destroys them. So we have to remember that those things that are out there that are our enemies, are literally our enemies, will take us down that road and that path of destruction. That's what Jesus is trying to prevent. That's what we as a church should be trying to help other people with. That's what we can glean out of this very brief description of the situation, okay? When the man who tended them saw what had happened, they ran off and reported it in the town and the countryside. Take that as a mental note right there. That scripture says, then people went out to see what had happened. They came to Jesus and found the man the demons had departed from sitting at Jesus' feet, dressed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. Meanwhile, the eyewitnesses reported to them all the people of the region asked him to leave them because they were gripped by great fear. So getting into the boat, he returned. The man from whom the demons had departed kept begging him to be with him, but he sent him away and said, "Go back to your home and tell all that God has done for you." And off he went, proclaiming throughout the town all that Jesus had done for him. So, in this illustration, and again, where we were at the beginning of the week, we seen different things happening. We seen him leading up until tomorrow, where they're going to have Passover, right? They're going to have the Lord's Supper. They're going to have a time where Jesus is going to sit down with them and minister to them, not one last time, but be intimate with them one last time and show them, literally showing them how to take care of people, serving them, okay? By washing their feet, by showing them what it means to be of service. And so we see illustrations like this. And even though today we can't point to an exact illustration, we can point to other times in the Bible where Jesus was giving us examples of how to act. Okay. Now, this guy, right? Everybody knew about him. Everybody knew he was probably labeled crazy. He was probably the insane guy. But what he was doing here was serving him, loving on him, even though nobody else wanted to, right? And so when he had did his miracle, we had performed a miracle by casting out the demons into the pigs. The people who saw it, what did they do? Some of them, and that's why I said take a mental note there. It says when the men who tended them saw what had happened, they ran off and reported it to the town and in the countryside. There are ways and methods that we can use to say or report on things that we have seen. And why is that important to today? Even though, okay, so there's certain prescribed things that you can do throughout Passion Week. There's things you can do to begin, even Lent, right? The practice of observing Lent, which is for an extended season. There are things that you have to do, but that's not what I want to focus on today. Okay, I want to focus on what God has called us to do as Christians, as believers, and just as community members. And we take it from this part in that they did what? Fill in the blank, guys. I heard or seen a really good, I think it was last week. I think it was during Wednesday service last week. Yes, I was watching. I was watching live. Um, what'd you guys get up and do, brothers? Ken, Robert? Testified, right? We testify about what God has done, And that's his command at the end. But the people in between, right? This time where we're not given instruction, maybe where we're not given clear definition of what we should do and how to handle ourselves, that's where we have to pay attention the most, is because there are other people watching, even though it's not saying that they understood what was going on and how they should be handling themselves and all that stuff. If we look at the miracle right after this, there's a girl that's healed, that's brought back from the dead, brought back from being lifeless and being restored. And throughout the the chapter here, even there's different teaching points where Jesus is trying to show us what we should do. And when his command is to love God and then love our neighbor, that's exemplified right here. Because even though they didn't know what was technically what was going on, they were reporting it because they knew it was something miraculous. And what his command was to the guy, right? Um, he said he wanted to stay with Jesus. And this is probably the most important day, even though we don't recognize it, there's no recorded activity and whatnot. The 12 did not understand at the time. They didn't even understand when he was point blank telling them, I'm going to depart. They thought they would have the opportunity to remain with him forever until, he was going to go and they were going to go or whatever. And that was probably their most desirable outcome of him teaching them, right? When we have a great leader, we don't want to leave them. We don't want to depart from them because we're getting something, we're being satisfied. But that's not what Jesus calls us to do. He's already equipped us. He's already given us everything that he wants us to do. And then most times he's revealed to us the path that we should take. And so there's not any question or concern at this point of what these people should do when they seen what was happening. But even to today, what should we do? We should be proclaiming Jesus. We should be teaching about not only his illustrations, but what he's all about by, again, what was examples last week, by testifying about that, by showing how good God is. And we can point to scriptures, but what's probably more impactful is that we just share every opportunity, not just with our brothers and sisters in Christ, but with every person that we come in contact with, because he's put us here for, I just said it earlier, he put us here for a reason, to conversate, to work, to go to school, to all these different things. And he's given us, hopefully, miraculous experiences. We might not think that they're miraculous at the time, but they are. And I won't go into great detail, but we were all we were all witnessed to a really good example of that right before we started service. Is that one of our church family praised God for what has happened and what has occurred in their life for a number of months, almost years, okay? Because they were being taken care of. And they said literally that had this been any other time in their life, they would have acted differently. But because of Jesus, because of God, they were okay. They were at ease, at peace. And that's what God brings to our lives, is peace. And that's what he brought to this guy's life. He was all worried, scrambling around, didn't even know what he was doing. But after he cast out the demons, he was at peace. But it's not because he was near Jesus, it's because Jesus came into his life. And he wasn't seeking him out. In fact, if you look at the beginning, he was trying to avoid him. He said, whoa, what do you want with me? What do you want with me? Because I don't want any part of what you got. I don't know what you're trying to do, but and he was probably comfortable with what he was doing with the demons that were inside him, because again, that's what they want. That's what they want, that death and destruction. That's not what God created us to be. And so he said, I didn't want anything to do with you. And Jesus said, hey, um, I could take care of you. I can help you. And it wasn't even him. It was the demons that said, hey, don't get rid of us. We'll go over there to the animals and we'll torment them. Just leave us be. And Jesus is that powerful. God is that powerful. God is able to bring you peace and then take care of things that need to be taken care of. But it all comes down to, what are we doing in the meantime? What are we doing in the meantime? Even though we don't have any special instructions today on what to observe, we can still go back and we can still reflect on when God has done something miraculous for us, or put somebody in our lives, shown us love, shown us maybe a way out of a difficult situation. A lot of things that we can go back and we can reflect on, or we can look forward to. We can be content. I can be content. I could be at peace that, you know what? Yeah, today's hard. All that traveling was hard. I was away from my family, all that type of stuff. But you know what? I'm at peace because God's going to take care of me. God's going to take care of them. Um, that's just one example. That's just a brief example of how glad I am. When I came back home, I had a nice bed to lay in. I had a wife to take care of me, kids to greet me. And you know what, too? I was at peace because last week or the week before, I was really fretting. I was like, no, you know what? I've dedicated enough time and effort. It's up to Deo now. I didn't help Deo with any of the stuff that you guys experienced the last week and a half. Even to the night. He's the one doing all. I had to change a battery, but he'll get that part. It takes a little bit of street. But he's been doing all that. And it's not because of me, it's because of God. The skills he's blessed me with, I've been able to pass on to him, and he's given him a good mind to be able to use those skills and make sure that he remembers everything to do. That has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with Stina, anybody. That's all God. And again, with this church, he's taking care of every one of us through thinking. Again, one of the members was one of our church family was expressing that everything he's done up until now, we have him to praise. And so, even though Wednesday and Passion Week is a little bit of a lull period, take that opportunity to recognize the blessings, but also prepare like they were going to do for the future, for the work that's going to be ahead of them. And don't be discouraged that we're going to be apart, we're going to do any of that, because even though we might have leaders we cling to, we might have family members we cling to, um, we just have to cling to God. We just have to love Him. He'll take care of everything else. Any any questions? I was thinking about that. Um, I think it was Monday. I don't know who. Can't remember who it was. Somebody. I think it might have been Rob or Chris. Somebody was saying that. So they get this feeling. They get this feeling when they're going to be called out. It's like, yeah, I get that feeling too. I get that feeling when Junior's going to ask to have me preach, or somebody. There was one time. It was pretty. It was a genuine non. What do you call them? What do you call them? Moments. Um, when you think you're reliving things. What's that called? What, deja vu? Could think of that word. And it wasn't that, but I just had this feeling that there was going to be a time near in the very near future that I was going to be called to share a message or whatever. And it wasn't Junior. It was somebody kind of out of the blue, and they called like it was like an hour or something like that. I was like, what's going on? And but yeah, I can't remember who said that, but yeah, it's like that because he's working in our life. He's working. Um, it's not mysteriously. He's called us to do something, and he'll equip us. So what do? We prepare. He's given us that path. He's shown us where he wants us to walk. We now have to take action, not just reminisce, not just do all that type of. Okay, we're gonna do this. We have to step forward, and we have to put our faith and trust in him that he's gonna follow through on his part, and he always does. He always does. And so, with that, we're gonna be having our Easter service. Um, Tonight we ate, and again, we invite you guys online. We know we always have a good time. I think there's one joke that between a couple that got a little bit out of hand. Hey, but we always have a good time. We want to invite you, but also if you don't have a home church or if you're in the area, maybe this comes across. We are going to be here Sunday celebrating Easter, the day he has risen. Again, if you follow the Passion Week, tomorrow is Passover. Friday is Good Friday, when he went to the cross. We have Saturday when there was a lot of questioning going on, and then right the battles that were being had, and then Sunday we get to praise that, you know what, he was telling the truth and he's risen. He's still alive today, and so we're going to be celebrating Easter. You guys have any questions or comments before we close out for? See, I'm sorry. What? Oh, yeah. When? Before or after? After. So we'll have a little Easter egg hunt for all the kiddos afterwards. We had a voluntold somebody going to be Easter bunny. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna have a little Easter egg hunt for the kiddos, and so you guys are welcome to come out. Get a comment, question. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, they were causing a bunch of distress and uh, probably nothing that we know about, but we can get a glimpse of when we're not in our right mind, when chaotic things are happening around us, right? The That's just a little bit of what he was experiencing, but even then, as you were saying, be be careful what you ask God for, because they got it, and even though they might not have seen ahead of them what was going to happen, they still went to their end, right? And so, but like you said, he was he was able to be their master. They requested something, and he was able to grant it, and that's something that we have to remember, that that grace is, there's only one that's in charge of that. We can't we can emulate it, right? It's really hard to extend grace when we don't truly know it. So when I say that, those that know God are able to exemplify that best because they have a little bit of understanding of it. Those that don't, are probably not doing that. Even though it might look good on the end, there's probably something else in return, or they're doing it out of spite, all that type of stuff. But those that act like him, right, are the ones that are best to exemplify that. And that's what I'm pointing towards tonight, is that there's a lot of people that say Wednesday, we go to church and we observe all this Holy Week stuff and everything like that. But really, what's Wednesday about? Well, Wednesday is about that time when we don't have instruction. How are we supposed to act? We're supposed to be like Jesus at all times. There's a lot of speculation. He might have rested. He might have taken the 12 out to what we might think of as a retreat. But because it's not recorded, we only have other examples to pull from. And during this time, we can testify, we can rest, we can prepare, we can do all those types of things. But it ultimately, like you said, extends from God what we do. And if we're going to act like him, we better be found acting like him and not acting like something else. Um, and I take that there was a comment a long time ago, is you know Christians and church people might act one way on the holy days of Sunday, Wednesday, and other days that they might meet, but then they're out there doing other things, right? Where it would lead people astray, saying, well, they're not really saved, or, might make some other opinions or whatever. It's not about that. It's about what are we acting like? What are we acting like? Are we acting like Christ? Are we acting like the demons right there? And so, yes, point well taken. I like your observation there. Any others? All right. So we're going to go ahead and go to our time of praise and prayers. And just want to, for you guys online, we'll be back on Tuesday. Sunday school starts at 10. I mean, Sunday. Yeah, I said Tuesday. I'm still trying to think about the different days and stuff like that. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna be back here on Tuesday. I meant to say 10 and on Sunday, but I said Tuesday for some reason. Anyways, we're gonna be back here at 10 o'clock Sunday morning for Sunday school. And then 11 o'clock we'll have Easter service. Afterwards, we'll go ahead hunt eggs. We'll have our meal. What are we having? Do we have, we're having everything. So please come join us. I know. Actually, brother there was saying, I don't know. I'm gonna try to make it this Sunday. I was like, you better, because we're gonna be eating. Yes, we're gonna. It'll be a glorious day, and so we welcome you. We welcome you to join us. But we're gonna go ahead and sign off for now as we go into our time of prayer. And until next time. All right. Are you off? Because I still see myself on.